compared to Morrowind. I was kind of not hoping, but I was expecting the question to rise up today. Chad has already paid its respect to Steve. uh, but yeah, okay. The question: how is Skyrim compared to Morrowind? And I have a huge smile on my face. Like I'm gonna try to be as serious as possible. Like I don't want to joke around when somebody asks me what I think is a genuine question, because there's so many Elder Scrolls and people have this very. I'm gonna save the recording before it goes kaput. 201? No, 208. Wow, 208. Um. So, yeah, the here's the weird part. I've been answering a question similar to, "Hi, I'm QPass," for a couple of days now, mainly because I've been re-uploading Skyrim videos since I moved. Like, have you noticed? I got boxes all over the place. So, and I was like, how do you feel Skyrim is in relation to other Elder Scrolls? The other one was asking a more direct comparison to, say, Skyrim versus Oblivion, but it's on the same spiel. Like, it's Skyrim, Oblivion, Morrowind. How do I think? Because in some people think like I'm actually getting frustrated with Skyrim, which, it's true. It has its moments, and I think that's the thing. Skyrim has really high highs and really low, like frustrating lows. Like, if when it does not work, it does not work badly. Um, and Morrowind has its own moments, and obviously Oblivion. I think Oblivion's fault is the fact that, for me, anyways, and I think that's why, like, I'll bring Oblivion into the mix, is that Oblivion is a much simpler game, and because it's a lot more simpler game in terms of the combat mechanics, as far as what you can do and yada yada yada, it there's not a moment where you feel lost. You always know where you are, primarily because you have a map. Of course, all the games have a map. All right, check that off. But even without the map, you have, in most cases, you could see the Imperial City, the Golden Tower, White Golden Tower, in the horizon. So you had a point of reference from a visual standpoint. But the rest, even like, this guy is giving me a quest, where should I go? Who should I talk to? Even if you ignore, because I do, even if you ignore the quest marker, they give you directions to go there. Now, just today, I was playing Morrowind, and the wise woman was giving me not directions, but she was telling me, here's my next task. Go to, I forgot his name, Mukgudak or whatever, and it could have been a place, it could have been a person, it turned out to be a person. I had no directions to where, so if it was a person, it had to be some guy in the village, but I was lost because the door that the guy was hiding into, just like, you do this, right? So I kind of dislike that when games do it. Skyrim does it a lot, almost all the time, and that's frustrating. To compensate for that, the developers have put the quest markers everywhere, and they're atrocious. And I try not to follow that, because with the thing with Oblivion, at least with the dialogue, it was easy to ignore the marker and have a conversation with the NPC. And the NPC would give, second door on your left, that's your room. Of course, now the NPC is actually, I'm going to guide you to your room. But that's the only exception that Skyrim has as far as giving directions, really. Other than that, it's like, I'll mark you on your map, or talk to Maven. Who is Maven and where she is? Okay, well, I'm not going to tell you, but hurry up. I mean, I always get back to that same example, but Skyrim does that a lot. So I think on that regard, Skyrim and Morrowind are even. I would give an edge to Morrowind primarily because it actually does, in a dialogue, give you some direction, and more so than Skyrim ever did. So there's that. Now, as a video game itself, oddly enough, Morrowind controls better than Skyrim. And I think it has to do with the fact that in Skyrim you have like so many ways of running, walking, and sprinting. And you can't do one without having the other one off or on. And you gotta like toggle these things constantly in order to get the speed that you want to go to. That's annoying. And there's a delay with, like, from a visual standpoint of how to communicate if you're crouched when you're attacking and stuff like that. I kind of wish that you could like unstealth immediately when you swing, or not when you swing, but when you engage in combat. That is loud. I don't know why they didn't do that. I guess it's to keep the attack, like if you could kill in 2 strikes, you wouldn't want to stand up straight and not stealth up for other encounters. But I feel like it's awkward. So I don't remember, to be honest, the vanilla journal, but I do remember the feelings that I had when I first encountered it. But really, I feel like I was going through that journal more so back in vanilla Morrowind than I ever did with Skyrim. Because I guess there's so much stuff in Morrowind that you kind of needed the journal to remind yourself of where you basically had to go, or like your first directions to, go left or east to the first tree to your, like, that kind of stuff. You need that written down, and the quest journal is fantastic for that. Even in its crude state in the vanilla version of Morrowind, I don't even remember what it looked like, but let's assume that it was like you just flip pages and you have text. Where was it going on with it? Yeah, with Skyrim, it's like a brief version of the nothing that you get from the dialogue from the NPCs. That's the impression that I have when I read the journal in Skyrim. Of course, there's probably mods that fix all of these things, including Morrowind, Oblivion. It's like, yeah, happy world. But from a vanilla, like, this is what the designers intended for the game. Seems really bad to me. So I kind of prefer the Morrowind journal, even the vanilla one, than the one from... I guess the one that Skyrim has to offer that's better than the one in Morrowind is the fact that it's structured where you see all the I can't even align my fingers properly. You see on the list the type of stuff that you've completed, not completed, and you can click and focus your quest marker to, I want to do just this one. So it's still functional in some sense, especially if you consider the quest marker. But I don't use it. I don't like it, and therefore the journal doesn't do much to me, except for like when you have a quest like collect 2,000 eggs, and you kind of want to have a counter. So the quest journal kind of has a function. So does that, yeah, like Morrowind controls better than Skyrim, and I don't think it's a performance issue. I just think it's a control issue. Oblivion obviously controls better than I think all of them combined, including Daggerfall. Primarily because, I mean, people can complain about Oblivion because it's floaty, but I mean, other than that, it feels immediate. You want to cast a spell, boom, you're casting a spell. So I like that of Oblivion amongst other things. Oblivion is still one of my favorites. I'm kind of on a 50-50 on do I prefer Skyrim over Oblivion, which is like, really? You've been very critical about Skyrim. Primarily because Skyrim, on the other hand, when stuff is working, it's working beautifully and it's amazing. Done. Like, does that answer your question? Um, I'm reading Moldog from way back, from 10 minutes ago. He says, I might try The Witcher 1. I actually have a friend who is playing through Witcher 3. I think he's near the end now, and he enjoys Witcher 3, but he disliked Witcher 2 and preferred Witcher 1. But he says, I say prefer in the sense like, whoops, I did not know, like, he was not playing Witcher 3 when he told me that he disliked Witcher 2 and preferred Witcher 1. So I'm assuming that if you did not like Witcher 2, Witcher 1 probably offers you a better experience. I can't say because all I know is that it uses the engine from Neverwinter Nights, which I thought was kind of crappy. But anyways, Morin, go to the second house next to the temple on the right door and talk to Mabasi. Skyrim Journal, talk to me. Yeah, that kind of feeling. It's just. Bleh. I always feel like Skyrim had like a half a second delay on something. I agree. Skyrim doesn't have the spell creation system, which is kind of sad. But you kind of have that with the dual wielding, so I kind of excuse it for that. It kind of focuses your character on gear more than the knowledge of the wizard. So I guess in some ways it's more like Harry Potter more than it is like an Elder Scrolls in the sense like you learn a spell, you're a wizard, you're knowledgeable about it, as opposed to I need my wand, blah. So I can't say much about it, but it does feel like a downgrade just hearing about it. But I'll reserve judgment until I actually try Magic. I hope Fallout 4 quest design is better than Skyrim. Let's be honest, Oblivion had much better quest design and storytelling than Skyrim. I think Skyrim still has some good storytelling. It's just buried into the awkwardness. But I obviously have not played all of the quests, so I'm just, from my perspective, I'm still having fun with the quests in Skyrim. I had some weird issue where there was one quest where I progressed further than the game thought I was, like with the drinking competition and the goat and the ring and the yeah, I don't know, but I don't know if I can complete that quest at all, but yeah. I have zero hype for Fallout 4, all the fear. Well, it's good to have some reservations. I had reservations until I really didn't care about Fallout 4 because I have played Fallout 3, and here's the odd thing: it's probably one of the best RPG experience I've ever had was in Fallout 3, but it was just that one moment. The rest of it was pretty drab, I thought, despite the happy-go-lucky attitude that the Fallout universe provides, which is always like you turn on the radio and it's all jolly, but you're killing, murdering stuff. That's a happy feeling. I love, however, from a gameplay standpoint, the VAT system. The fact that there's a in-game explanation why or how you're pausing the world. Well, you're not really pausing. Well, you are pausing the world, but it's like all computer-driven, and I kind of like that. Traditional Fallout. What got me interested in Fallout 4, however, is that there seemed to be fixing the issues that I had with Fallout 3, and the biggest issues I have with Fallout 3 was it's all freaking gray and desolate, and trees are dead, and it's ruins everywhere, and it's just, if I wanted ruins, like Oblivion has ruins, and ruins are everywhere across Cyrodiil, but there's trees and there's deers and it's all happy, and it's just good idea to have the Fallout, attitude of a happy 1950s style to it, because otherwise it would just be depressing. So, but in Fallout 4, they bring a lot more colors. So, just that alone, like I already, like if you remember watching my the beginnings of the Let's Play series of Morrowind, you'll hear me talk about the colors and stuff like that. I actually don't like the visuals of Morrowind, primarily because it's ugly, and it's all brown and gray and brown and gray and red. So it's the same tone, and I kind of like that. I hate that, as opposed to Oblivion, which you would say, well, it's all green, but yeah, but the colors are more vibrant, and there's more variety. Like in characters have a specific color. Let's say characters in brown, but outside is green, and the walls are gray or have red. I think that's the thing. Like Morrowind has just that tone. Skyrim kind of takes the world of Oblivion, like the saturated colors, and brings it down a notch to a more respectable level. So I really love the visuals of Skyrim. It kind of shows its age, but I really don't care. For an RPG, I'm in the world. Vanilla Skyrim is not very good. The game wants you to play as a boring, big weapon wielding Nord, which is also boring. Perks are also boring. Everything is boring. I don't know. I wouldn't say that the perks. I actually don't mind the perks. I mean, to me, it feels obvious that it's a transition from Fallout, because Fallout has perks, and after Fallout 3 they did Skyrim, and Skyrim does not have perks. Alright, fine. But the way it plays out compared to, like, say, Oblivion, where Oblivion has perks, but it's like you got 4 perks per skill, and it makes sense, but I kind of prefer the way the perks are structured in Skyrim. Although, in most cases, less is more. That's probably... I think it's got a good amount, though, Skyrim, so I'm not too crazy about it. Like, I'm not saying it's a super good thing, and I'm not saying it's a really bad thing either. Perks are in a good position, I find. It's a good feeling. I like the idea, the feeling of leveling up. I got a point. I don't need that in my RPGs, but I still like that feeling. So Skyrim does provide. If you want to play a Pure Mage, then you don't want all that gear. Yeah, that's kind of the bummer of the whole... I'm a wizard! Ah! Magic wand! Maybe they're bringing it back in Elder Scrolls 6. Who knows? Hopefully. Because I like the magic system in the Elder Scrolls. I think it was one of the things that sets it apart from any other game, is the fact that you can... It's not that you can craft potions, even though I don't craft, but just the idea that everything that you see in the game you can basically make, except for maybe armor, weapons and armor, although Skyrim, but the idea that whatever you see in the game, like, let's say like a potion, you can craft that equivalent or make it better just by like picking stuff from the ground. The game provides you the tools to have an alternate way of acquiring stuff that you might want specifically, as opposed to opening a chest and it's like, oh man, it's just, I don't know, a sword, but I would have preferred having mana potions. Right? Well, you can make your own mana potions. The fact that I'm stubborn and I don't want to craft, because I really hate crafting, is one thing, but at least the game provides it. Right? And you can do that with spells, which As far as I know, no other game did that before. So to me, it was a really special thing, an attribute to the Elder Scrolls series. So yeah. Another bummer is repair. Funny enough, repairing your equipment adds to. It adds functionality to gold, amongst other things. But I don't know about realism. I mean, it makes sense. You could say like damage armor needs repairing, but clicking a button to have suddenly a working item, I don't know. Like I'm not convinced. But I don't disagree with you either. Like it's just me. I've watched streams of Skyrim here on Twitch, and I've played Oblivion. I don't know if it's just me, but it seems that even though the conversation between NPCs can be a bit derpy and random, the NPCs themselves had more personality than compared to. Oh, for sure. I think what doesn't help with Skyrim is they're trying to get it the greedy world, like we're tough and burly man, and step out of my way, I'm a tough man, and it's like, dude, just wanted to say hi and go to that counter and buy a drink. Why are you in my face, and why do you have to trash talk or give me this attitude that I did not need? And a lot of them are like that. That's annoying. Oblivion, they had characters like that, but it wasn't all of them. Like you could meet like a Dunmer, and it was like, "Hey, you want to be my best friend?" And it's like, "No, but thanks." You know? Yeah, Oblivion is a bit cartoony, and I like it a lot. Like, yeah, I mean, I guess the characters don't help. The fact that they're bright and colorful and round, especially the orcs. Like, what the hell, man? Um, yeah, Oblivion has a soft spot in my heart. There'll always be room for Oblivion. The vast majority of perks are just the stat increases. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like I was mentioning, less is more, which is the thing with the Oblivion where each skill has like maybe 4 perks. 25, 50, 75, 100. Yeah, there we go. I can do math. The thing is that those perks weren't that great, if I remember correctly. I mean, there were some practical ones. Like the ones that, like for stealth, like at 25. Was it 25? I think it was 25, where you could sneak with whatever boots you wanted. And that kind of defeated the whole purpose of the light, medium, and heavy armor. So to me, the perks weren't really tuned very well. And some of them were just stat increases. The ones in Skyrim, though, had a little bit more practicality to them. Like, they sometimes just flare. So I kind of like that over the Oblivion. I like the way it's presented in Oblivion in the sense that it makes sense that every skill has. But I like the choices also from Skyrim. I don't like, though, that, but it is level lock. I was going to say, like, you can do archery and do archery all the way, but spend all your points in swords, which technically I don't think you even can because it's locked by level. So they thought that through. And I guess that's what I want, is a game that feels like somebody thought this through. Because sometimes you say, what the hell were they thinking? And that's just a bad feeling to have throughout the entire experience of a game. Doesn't matter if it's an Elder Scrolls or anything. What the hell were they thinking is always a bad feeling to have. Because then you're not playing the game, you're just testing it, for the lack of a better word. Alchemy in Skyrim is broken. I wouldn't know. Isn't it enchanting always broken in any Elder Scrolls, though? Like, can you blame the game for that? Everyone in Oblivion are assholes? Oh, I beg to differ. Have you been to Vardenfell? There's a welcoming bunch. Um, Jumping on water forever is still fun. I don't remember that at all. I mean, has been pretty balanced. Morrowind had some crazy stuff, but it makes sense. I don't know. I think everything in this game, because it's so open, and I'm talking Elder Scrolls in general, everything is bound to abuse. Like stealth, for example, is like I don't know stealth in Morrowind, but in Oblivion you could basically be invisible. And I'm getting that feeling from Skyrim once in a while. Although, herpaderp, sometimes the AI knows better. Even though it doesn't see me, it can still know where I am, and that's a cheap shot. But at least, maybe it needs to cheat in order for me to feel some sense of realism, because sneaking at point blank range is not necessarily a good feeling to have. Unless like you're in deep shadow wearing black and you're like magica enchanted to like chameleon and all that stuff, then yes, maybe 100% would be like a ninja, right? But to have just like a thief sneaking around, you want sleight of hand. You want to play with the distractions and stuff like that. And just being invisible is not necessarily a fun thing. You want the stress. You want the, oh, am I going to do it? Yeah, why shouldn't you be able to make boots of internal flight? I think that's the appeal of the game in some senses, to how you can not break it, but how you can almost become a god to some extent. I never reached that point because that's how I play, but the possibility, I can understand the possibility to be alluring, because I like it even though I'll never reach it. It's like playing out World of Warcraft. Like, you know you'll never go into the 40-man raids and get the best items and stuff like that. But the idea that that could possibly be there if you decided to, you know what, like if I took the time and a month off from work and do that every day, I could be one of those guys. And I think that feeling within itself in this world makes you feel good when you're playing it, because at least you know the game allows you to do that, as opposed to, this is what you can do. Final Fantasy. I say that because we were playing Final Fantasy 14 earlier. Good game though, but I hate Final Fantasy. The point is becoming an Evergreen, basically a god. I guess I'm assuming you're fighting a god at the same time, like a demigod. So there's like the power struggle going on. So, and I kind of, this is one of the things that I like about, I was gonna say Oblivion, but the Elder Scrolls in general. Morrowind. I can't say anything about Daggerfall, but Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim. Skyrim is borderline, and Elder Scrolls Online. The Elder Scrolls series has a lot of stuff that is just beyond your control. Like, you're dealing with gods, you're dealing with Daedra, people from different dimensions trying to invade your world from portals and stuff like that. And that's normal, and to some extent. And I kind of like that feeling, even though it's normal. There's still like that one dude next to you who just like, I don't have magic. I just have a sword and a shield, and I'm ready to kick some butt. And I like that feeling. You got like everything. I think the only thing with the Elder Scrolls Online, the problem is that a friend of mine was telling me about this. When you do the Fighters Guild, you do a lot of magic stuff. It's very magic related, and you don't feel like you're part of the Fighters Guild. You don't fight much. Like, it's not martial arts. So there's some downside when you go too far into the magic, but I like the feel anyways. So yeah, just wanted to check real quick on the not the stream but the recording. Is normal people can come in and out. Okay, combat. Man, audio seems synced. Great. I might have to double check that because sometimes when I stream while recording, the audio eventually gets off sync. But I played it at different intervals, and the audio seems great. So yeah. You can learn shouts. It takes long, but Neverring doesn't age, so you can learn all the shouts like a Dragonborn. In Morrowind? You go from a god to a chosen warrior of gods. I guess that would be Oblivion? Because I always thought like I was just the escort. Which is, excuse me, which is not a bad feeling to have, by the way. I guess that's like the Diablo 2 player in me, where it's like, I love Diablo 2 story. It's like one of the best video game stories of all time. For me, anyways. And you're just following the trail that Diablo does while he's like going somewhere, and you're like, where's he going? What's he doing? And you're just following him, and that's all you do. You don't have, I mean, you kill the monster at the end, but you don't have any control about the plot. You just go through it. And in Oblivion, you have some control, but essentially you're the escort. That's your job. Yes, sir. And I kind of like that. It's different. Wow. Yui didn't see any audio desync this time around. Really? You guys see it on stream? Ooh, that's bad. But you know what I did though? I resetted my audio pickup, I guess, the software that picks up the audio for the stream. I kind of reset its memory value right before recording, and I think that helped. Kind of like when there's an audio glitch, like it goes all, I kind of switch it and it sounds great back again, so I kind of do that. As Variax put it, or at least I think it was Variax, the main quest for Oblivion was a whole bunch of close the gate, etc. Morrowind main quest was much more interesting. It's more than that for Oblivion. I mean, you oversimplified it, which I can't disagree with the close the gate, because there are a bunch of gates to close. Although there's not that many to close that you really have to. But you have that impression that you need to close them all. It looks fine. Technically, you close them all by closing the end one. But, excuse me, wow. The Coke is going in all sorts of places. But, you could, like, I could argue and say, like, Morrowind's questline so far, as interesting as it is, it's, are you a god or aren't you? And it's just, I don't know. You go somewhere else. Are you a god or aren't you? I don't know. Go somewhere else. Are you a god or aren't you? Like right now I have to go through trials, but they're made it pretty obvious that nobody knows for sure. It's like, all right, fine, just let me do my thing. So, I don't see any real differences between Morrowind, Oblivion, and Skyrim in terms of the story itself. Not so much the execution, because the executions are completely different from each game, but from the core elements of the story, I think they're pretty much the same, and I think they kind of have to, given the formula that Bethesda is going with them. So you're saying that the what makes it interesting is that even at the end you still don't get the answer of are you a god or not. I don't remember Shivering Isles. It was it like they're being invaded by boringness, and you had to fight boring in a land of crazy. It was that. Sheogorath was would spawn. I think it's like you spawn like a gate that doesn't go outwards, it goes inwards because he's trying to find a champion to fight boringness. I think that's what it was in Shivering Isles. I love that expansion. Then again, I loved Oblivion, so to me it's like, I'm getting more awesome. And the intro to that was just beautiful. Like the butterfly effects was like, oh my god, I'm gonna see that the entire through the entire game. No, but oh yeah, the Shivering Isles is what Morrowind should have looked like. Wow, we've been talking for